Hello, this is Adam with DreamMade Productions. This video is made possible by the very kind donations of viewers like you. Thank you. If you are in a position to help this channel improve quality and grow, please visit my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/DreamMadeProductions, linked below. Before we get started today, there is an issue to address. Here at DreamMade Productions, our hearts go out to all the victims of this horrible conflict in Ukraine. May the souls on all sides find their way safely home to their friends and loved ones as soon as possible.
It is the 31st century, and mankind is once again at war. The battlefields of the future are dominated by huge robotic war machines known as battlemechs.
Hello, and welcome back to The Arsenal, a series where we look at the weapons, equipment, and technology of the BattleTech universe. Today, we focus on a technology that is in many ways at odds with how a battlemech operates and a key role it plays on the battlefield. A modern attempt at a tactic once semi-abandoned but now re-emerging. Today, we look at, or rather try to look at, stealth armor. For eons, the value of surprise on the battlefield has been understood by militaries. Still, the focus on hiding from one's enemies has waxed and waned over recorded history. In early times, stealth was much less of an asset. Command and control on the battlefields was difficult enough when your only communications methods were trumpets, flags, and couriers. For centuries, military forces were less concerned with surprise and more concerned with knowing what was going on. Indeed, making one's presence known had major benefits. First, particularly successful warriors would gain a reputation with friend and foe alike. Announcing to the world that so-and-so the Great or who's it's the Mighty was on the field could both bolster the morale of your allies and spread panic in enemy ranks. A second effect was that military leaders tend to be important people, and important people tend to have lots of money. If you were defeated, your foe might well choose not to off you and instead ransom you back to your family or nation. In a way, making yourself seen on the battlefield had many more advantages than going unnoticed. It's not quite certain when things changed. Some say the change started with gunpowder. Others point to the improved communications of the telegraph. Others blame the increased accuracy brought on by rifling. Still others claim the bright colors of flags and uniforms did not vanish from the battlefield until the invention of wireless communication. Regardless, by the time the old nation-states of Terra began their foray into global conflict, things had changed. Everyone was trying their damnedest not to get shot, bombed, shelled, or otherwise obliterated. Hiding became the name of the game for hundreds of years. Then, slowly, things began to rewind. Despite the common sentiment, history does not repeat, but it does have a tendency to rhyme. When the Terran Alliance dissolved in 2315, some would say that the failed experiment with democracy finally died. Strong leaders were needed in mankind's taming of the stars, and things such as elected office and votes were not really abandoned, but, well, they don't call them great houses for nothing. Neo-feudalism did not itself start to roll back ideas on stealth. The fusion engine heat-sink combo really made stealth begin to disappear. The battle mech would almost kill the idea of hiding. When a military unit is dumping enough waste heat into the surrounding air that a child's toy can see something is going on there, hiding from sophisticated SLDF sensors is kind of pointless. Further, with ruling families re-establishing being seen once again as a kind of insurance policy, recruiting, training, and fielding mech warriors tends to be expensive. Plus, put a lord or sir or prince or whatever in front of the name. Sometimes your enemies will see C-bills over their dislike for you. Even if you could hide a battle mech, it would take something away from it. Having a 30-foot tall iron giant charging at you, front lit by lasers, missiles, and other weapons fire is terrifying after all. Why else would the Atlas bother with its iconic death head if it weren't meant to be seen? Still, there is benefit to being a sneaky bastard, and the SLDF were never one to leave a potential advantage unexplored. So, how do you hide a battle mech? Well, there are ways. The first option is to hide it electronically. The ECM can generate a field of interference that can make it more difficult to detect a mech. This works okay for moving around when no one is close enough to shoot at you. Still, generating a huge EM field to scramble sensors may hide your exact location, but everyone is going to know something is up. Additional attempts were made. The SLDF's chameleon light polarization shield was a wonder in technology, affording protection from both sensors as well as some protection against visual detection. The SLDF also produced the null signature system. While lacking the ability to break up a mech's silhouette, it was more stable and much easier to produce. Modern stealth armor is in many ways an attempt to copy this almost mythical ability. The ability to completely hide a battle mech even from visual sight seems to have been lost. Examples of the null signature system, a better understood system, survived into the early succession wars. The Capellans were the first to resurrect the idea of stealth through their own research as well as data mining the Star League-era Xingli Arms facility on Victoria. The Capellans' first attempt was the introduction of electronic warfare equipment, or EW gear, in 3025. Further refinement and the Helm Memory Core led to the reintroduction of ECM with the Guardian ECM. Finally, the Capellans, unable to fully reproduce the null signature system, would create a, well, Capellan solution to the problem. A kind of off-brand null signature system, if you will. What we call stealth armor. Marrying the Guardian ECM with specially designed heat baffles and armor plating allowed House Liao engineers to more or less mirror the capabilities of the Star League null system, though with the drawback of being bulkier. Still, when comparing the two, stealth armor kind of wins any contest since, well, stealth armor exists and all. Stealth armor weighs about the same as standard armor, but is bulkier due to the integrated components taking up 2 critical slots in each arm, leg, and side torso. Clearly, enough tonnage and space must also be allocated to carrying the Guardian ECM system, without which the system does not function. When the stealth armor is inactive, the Guardian ECM functions normally. However, once the system activates, the ECM goes into a kind of overdrive. The interference affects the equipped unit systems in much the same way as an enemy ECM field. Plus, the system pulls power from the fusion engine, heating up the mech, while the stealthy heat exchangers struggle to vent heat. The net effect is a buildup of 10 heat every round the system is active. In exchange, the unit becomes more difficult to hit at medium and long range. This system cannot completely hide a mech. You can still look out and see the thing. Nor does it make it undetectable. You can still try to lock onto it. It just makes the whole process much more of a pain, meaning you won't have time to snap off a shot at one as a secondary target. The specifics of the null signature system is still in clan databases, but beyond their ECM equipment, stealth and honor doesn't tend to mix. Officially, no stealth systems are produced by any of the clans. Still, well, I'll come out and say it. I personally don't know if I believe them. Yeah, I know. The line units wouldn't dream of it, but still. There are the watch units, and I've heard rumors, whispers connected to the clans. Just a name that comes up here and there. Rare enough that there's no information, but independent enough that it makes me think. All I know is that I've heard something is called smoke armor. Exiting the realm of conspiracy theory, the only real source of SLDF stealth tech was, of course, Comstar. They would study their examples and create improvements. The closest thing yet to an invisible and undetectable battle mech would emerge, just in time for it to be, well, a nightmare. But I'm going to need a lot more drinks before I can talk about that. Me personally, I've only used stealth armor once. It was interesting, but, well, not really worth the investment. Eating 10 heat per round while putting yourself into an enemy ECM bubble is just brutal, even with double heat sinks. In universe, the stuff is fairly rare, and only found on a few mechs, limiting options. It makes sense much more if you are using umpire rules where players don't have an omniscient view of the field. In universe, I see stealth armor and similar systems as kind of a waste. Wonder weapons look good on paper, but most of the time they are impractical on the battlefield. They tend to be very expensive and difficult to maintain, pulling resources away from, well, more useful systems. Let's face it, stealth armor is no Star Trek cloaking device. You can still be detected. You can still be targeted. You can still be very easily killed. All at the cost of simply fielding better and more practical units. True, you never want to be hopelessly outdated. I could produce millions of bows and arrows cheap, and sometimes those bows and arrows will be ideal for the job. But the other 99.999% of the time, a well-tested battle rifle would do the job much better. On the other hand, producing a sci-fi weapon with dozens of settings, digital sights, exotic ammo that is super effective on the battlefield. But the lost production of more conventional arms leaves you vulnerable. Sure, you might have some super hard to deal with units, but can they be simply swarmed? Could they just be bypassed? One last thing to consider. Throughout human history, militaries have generally been on par with each other as far as technology. Sure, there are examples of a vastly superior technologically foe fighting a very primitive one, but these tend to be extremely isolated. Chances are, even if you develop a super weapon that is hyper effective and you can produce it in reasonable numbers, remember that advantage will be fleeting. Your enemy has scientists and engineers too, and all it takes is a little time until they have the tech too. Take the clans. We all know how much better clan tech is and in many ways continues to be. Still, it took the Inner Sphere all of, 4 years to begin producing weapons that were not just copies of SLDF tech, but improvements that were, not equal to the clan, but we will say on par with them. While technology can be amazing, relying on invincible wonder weapons has been the calling card of madmen throughout human history. In my opinion, stealth armor does not live up to its promise, let alone provide enough benefit to win wars. I would much rather have more mechs, running cooler, and able to communicate effectively, than a mech slightly harder to detect, a little harder to target, running a little hotter, and unable to defend multiple areas. It's just being more versatile. But what do you think of stealth armor, the null signature system, or the other attempts at hiding mechs from view? Let me know below. If you have a piece of equipment you want covered, also let me know below. And as always, I hope you enjoy the battle reps that are to come. Hello, this is Adam with Dream Made Productions. Thank you for watching my content. It really means a lot that you have given me the chance to entertain you. If you would like to support the channel, please visit my Patreon at patreon.com/DreamMadeProductions, linked below. Also below is a link for PayPal, or links if you would like to send crypto, if that's more your thing. Please know any amount that you give will be cherished and used to upgrade equipment and improve the channel. You can also help the channel by subscribing, turning on notifications, liking, commenting, and sharing my channel with anyone you think might be interested. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you enjoy the battle reps that are to come.